I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Fine.
Yeah. Did you have a good Christmas and New Year's break?
Oh, yeah, family time, which is what it's for.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
I did absolutely nothing over Christmas. I just sat around, ate too much, and
In
it's
typical
over.
British fashion.
Yeah, it is the way we do things.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Dinesh.
How are you?
Yeah.
How's everyone? Morning, Paul.
Hot.
Hot.
Yeah, we've got all that Aussie weather over here. We've got 20 degrees at the moment at
10:30 at night.
yeah, 10 just after 10:30.
Wow.
Oh dear.
So the heat
Dream.
back.
Living the dream, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But it will get you down to 17 overnight.
Very good. So let's kick off. Anybody got any questions? Anything that's come up in the last little while in the Cardano space you're interested in? I know, Paul.
When's Cardano going to hit $10?
When my exact prediction.
Must have missed it one night while I was asleep.
Well, the way it's been behaving at the last little bit than it could do. I think we were up 20% or something yesterday at one point, and then dropped back down 20%. So we are reacting certainly to the Bitcoin ETF news. What we're now hoping for is that as the volume in the Bitcoin ETF markets go up, then the persistent volume in crypto as a whole will rise, and Cardano's price will be affected as well. So yeah, we'll see. No real predictions. It's all. I mean, the big event is still going to be the Bitcoin halving, which is was it April? Yeah, in a few months.
Yeah, middle of April.
Middle of April. So that's typically when we start to see, okay, we're properly into a bull market again, and the price should start to rise. So we're getting it a bit early because of this big ETF news, but yeah, who knows? It's crypto. It does what it wants, really. we overall, if you look at it from a 4-year, bird's eye view, then we're right on course. Yeah, it's still hard to know exactly what's going to happen when.
What did Lucas say? Did he say that with ETF, is there likely to be more inflow of funds, fresh funds, which may then push Bitcoin price up, which will then drag the rest of the other altcoins up? Is that the kind of scenario he's playing?
Yeah, 100%. So it was he'd found some articles on the inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs just in the first couple of days of trading, and it's I can't remember the figures now. It was right at the beginning of the call. It was
4 billion.
4
billion.
4 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
They couldn't tell which way it was, whether it was buying or selling.
Okay, so 4 billion of movement. Yeah. And I certainly know that Coinbase is the biggest Bitcoin holder on behalf of the ETFs that have been applying. So it's not like the Bitcoin hasn't already been bought for these ETFs. The likelihood is that they're already bought. The market movement's already happened, and so any price action we do see is probably people, actually buying in and out of Bitcoin as the adoption and the take up of the crypto of the ETFs happens. So yeah, we've got lots going on, a long way to go still in terms of actually seeing permanent price movement. I think what Luca was also saying was that the next sort of price target is about 52,000 on Bitcoin. That's what he's thinking. So we'll probably see it move up to there in the next month or so, a bit less. And yeah. I mean, in terms of Cardano, we're not at the high we've seen this cycle so far, but we did hit it yesterday. So chances are we're on the way up. But yeah, there's lots of things we're waiting for to see before we actually get full blown bull still, I think. Either way, just see it as now this is your last best chance to buy. I think I should probably do some screen sharing and get that going. We can have a look at some things. So I'm trying reverting back to recording and doing these Zoom calls on Linux directly, which is my daily operating system. So not everything's set up anymore like it was on Windows, as I've done for the past few months, but everything seems a lot more stable now. So it just saves me a lot of faff fiddling about between operating systems. So let's get this up. All looking okay? Good. So actually, let's look at have a quick look at ADA price. And looking back over the past little while, since the bottom, which was January, start of the year. Sorry, no. Yeah, it was just about so the 8th. We've seen good movement since, and since then we're up a decent way. %30. So this last pump for the past few days has taken us. I mean, it was a 20% rise just then, wasn't it? I want to say saying 8%. So on the exchanges, it was calling it 20. So maybe I'm not on the best chart for this. That's a market cap. I'll probably go against $1. That's what the rise was. Yeah, so we certainly saw 10% off the recent low. I think if anything, we'll probably see this high from December again before long. Which would be very nice because that's still decent way from where we are now, I think. Yeah, so still another 10%. Can go from there. Then in terms of bottom, I don't have that bar. Let's put it out. And then we are back in June, sorry, 23. We're now up 161%. So considering we've got a long way to go before we get back to $3, or 3.2, I think it was at the high. We've still got a lot of price movement to see, which is about there. So that's a long way to go. So whatever you're holding at the moment, it's good and sound, but really we're now definitely moved off the bottom. And chances are we'll be heading back above 3. So if you are looking to still accumulate more, ADA in particular, then now's a good time. Bitcoin looks a little different. Coinbase. Yeah, we've already had a good climb back up on off the blow of Bitcoin, and we're just probably over halfway back from the recent lows in November to the all-time high, which was in November 21. Oh, sorry, that's November 22 was the low, and November 21 was a high. So we're already halfway back there with Bitcoin. So in terms of one of the questions I put to Luca this morning was when the Bitcoin ETF was announced, and in theory all the trading started happening, it was actually the altcoins, or the announcement certainly was the altcoins that moved. So Ethereum and Cardano, Polkadot, all rose sharply. Polkadot and Cardano up 20% at one point. And Luca was calling it the altcoins, even though they're not really considered altcoins anymore, in my opinion. These are layer ones with a lot of the same assurances and maturity as Bitcoin, but they're alternatives to Bitcoin, I suppose. It's still so those like Polkadot and Cardano in particular, they are beta. Their behavior is always secondary to Bitcoin, but they're amplified versions of Bitcoin's movement. So Bitcoin rose 6% in trading on the exchanges, and Cardano was up 20% at one point, but also back down again. So the movement up and down is always much greater, but does track and follow Bitcoin's price action overall still. So we've got a lot more headroom in Cardano and these smaller cap tokens than we do in Bitcoin in terms of risk reward. So when you are looking to put more money in, think about okay, Bitcoin is certainly the safe bet. We've got a lot of movement to go still with the ETFs. Pension schemes will be buying into Bitcoin from now, have started buying in already, and they won't be buying into Cardano, I shouldn't think, but we've got around the corner Ethereum ETFs already, applications underway. So is that going to be approved in this cycle as well? XRP is being talked about too. So we've got all this sort of big macro market news and events going on that will certainly affect the price. And where Bitcoin moves 5%, Cardano can move 20% in this section here. And overall, Bitcoin's got to go back to twice where we are now to get back to its all-time high, whereas Cardano has still got to go 6 times to get back to its all-time high. So we've got a lot more room for growth if you're still buying in Cardano, and if you trust it and think that it's going to follow the cycles that are predicted, then Cardano is a good investment still. Bitcoin is safer. Cardano is more risky, but in my mind, I treat Cardano as secure as crypto as a whole. So, of all the chains, Cardano is the one that hasn't had hacks. And in fact, hacks and attacks are one of the things I want to talk about a decent chunk today. But then we talked about price action for far too long for this call. Any other questions on that, on where we are, where we're headed? If not, I'll jump into looking at some recent interesting action. Dinesh? No?
Yeah, I'm just going to mention, whilst the Bitcoin ETFs are approved, SEC still has a number of issues with likes of Cardano and not XRP anymore, but Polkadot and all. They named them
That's
some
security.
sort of, yeah. So what's the thought behind that? Anything that you can advise on or
I mean,
throw some light on?
and this is all conjecture and opinion really, but certainly this is the opinion of like Charles Hoskinson, for example, who is, been in front of Senate committees talking about the benefits of crypto to the industry as a whole, to the economics market as a whole. And his opinion is that there is, absolutely no difference between Cardano, for example, as being listed as being pegged as a security, then there is certainly Bitcoin, because the initial distribution of token, the initial creation of it, the amount of people that hold it in the proportions that it's being held in, they're all very, very, very similar behaviors. And in fact, in Charles's mind, then Bitcoin's probably even more of a got a stronger security argument than Cardano has, and certainly Ethereum more so as well. So if the current chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler, can call Bitcoin and Ethereum certified commodities rather than securities, and so should come under the jurisdiction of
The FTC.
Commodities regulators rather than the securities regulators, then they're going to have a very difficult case in front of a judge trying to persuade them that Cardano is a security, not a commodity. So I think obviously Charles has got a lot to lose if it goes against it, if it goes against Cardano in terms of any kind of judgment. But really, he's been very strong in terms of being aware of the whole. I mean, he's an early Bitcoiner, so he knows what's gone into both ecosystems, Cardano and Bitcoin, and he knows law. He's very, he's a polymath. He knows all sorts of subjects in depth, and he's consulted by senators and the like when it comes to regulation. So I think his opinion is a very strong one to listen to. And there's really very little. I mean, judgments have gone against the SEC repeatedly with Bitcoin over the past year. So I don't see it being any different really with Cardano. Other tokens, not so sure about. I mean, XRP even has come out stronger in the courts than was expected. So if an XRP ETF gets approved, then it's absolutely Cardano will, Ethereum will. So that's in my opinion the more likely outcome than being pegged as securities, and that means that we'll have stock exchanged equivalents to these altcoins before long as well, which then is just another acceptance of the maturity and the stability of cryptocurrencies as a whole, with Bitcoin of course always leading the way. So yeah, I think the future is very bright, very bullish. And realistically, if you're talking about coins and their relationship to the chains that they're on, that's one thing to look at in terms of price action. But really, realistically, you just want to be looking at the fundamentals of what functionality, what utility is actually being drawn from the chains. And really, if you look at Cardano's growing ecosystem in terms of projects building on that, then you've got huge real life impacting technologies being built here, which is no different from any other business. You've got telecoms being affected, you've got real estate being affected by the crypto industry to a large degree, and so when you've got ID systems all looking for alternatives to the current national databases, which are currently being constantly being left on trains by MPs and things like that, we need a more secure alternative, and that is where cryptography, blockchain, public assurity of data accuracy, and it being untampered, not being manipulated, then that's where the utility of blockchain really stands out, and that's surely should be driving our investment decisions. What is the better alternative to the current system we've got, which is so easily manipulated, where the money in your pocket is devalued to such a large extent. If we've got an alternative to that also can do tokenization of assets, real world assets, then that seems to be a very sensible way to go. I can't see any other way. Crypto's here to solve a whole load of problems we've got.
So from my point of view, that's probably the only next risk that needs to be mitigated somehow at some point in time.
Meaning by that, the non-index.
Yes, it's a case of what else could cause a volatility in the market, and this is only, I think this is now the only thing that remains in the crypto world, I think, as a risk until it's been ticked off.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's on the list of things to get ticked off.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that is one of the biggest factors in terms of being publicly recognized as a legitimate investment. But it's not stopped anybody so far in terms of
no. Yeah.
And
agree. It's a level of it's mindfulness rather than being scared.
Yeah, and seeing as already we're very aware that the price action of Cardano, Polkadot, Avalanche, all these merely follow the larger or the higher volume moves of Bitcoin. Then in terms of investment risk for the individual, then just saying, okay, if we're confident in Bitcoin because it's now regulated, because it's trading on the stock exchange in the form of ETFs, this is spot Bitcoin in particular, then really that's what the price of those spot Bitcoin ETFs is going to be closely mirrored, as they always have been, by these alternative cryptocurrencies. So it's not even on my radar, as I don't see a huge disparity between regulated Bitcoins and unregulated Cardano in the next bull cycle, for example. I just think we'll see the same behavior we've had the past cycles. So it's all looking good, and any good news on Bitcoin is good news for Cardano. That's how I see it. And when the regulators are forced to back down like they have been with Bitcoin, then we'll even get to the point where we're seeing hedge funds, pensions really en masse buying into and affecting the market caps of the altcoins.
Thank you.
Yeah, been good. Cool. So with this uptick in the interest in all cryptocurrencies, but particularly within Cardano, that means that they're a bigger target for scammers and hackers and the like. And Cardano's rise and the fact that we've been in the top 10 for since launch pretty much means that it is a big target. They've had very little success to date in terms of forming good attacks against Cardano, but in recent months there is a particularly optimistic and hopeful phishing scammer out there who's been trying and is still trying and spending a whole load of money on attacking people's wallets and holdings. So if we jump over to pool.pm, we can have a look at some of the tokens that I'm talking about. This is an attack that's being perpetrated by a wallet called, actually, let's see if we can go directly to them. So they have we've tracked back the activity of this scammer to his Cardano wallet. And the fact he's bought an ADA handle called Scam is My Passion, you kind of know what his intent is. He's out there to scam people. And by scamming, I mean stealing from them. So this is, I'm laughing, but because it's so obvious what he's about. But it is legitimate misbehavior, criminal behavior by an individual, and he will get caught out at some point. They will get caught out at some point and brought to bear. But in the meantime, all we can do is educate you in what these attacks are looking like. So you can see in this wallet, there are several of these tokens that look like tokens that we're aware of in the space. So we've got Berry is the stake pool that is run by got his name, Alessio, is it? He's the guy who built Space Buds, which is the first huge top tier NFT product on Cardano, and he's obviously a well-known figure, and so the scammer has created a token, a fake token that talks about Berry Pool, has ADA on it, has got part of the ADA logo, and in fact is the strawberry logo that Berry Pool uses. We've also got the snake on this other token, a snack reward token. Snack is the most recent, most cool meme coin on Cardano. We've got MinSwap. MinSwap's the largest DEX on Cardano. They've got a mystery box, which again is another scam token. Pool.pm, run by Smaug Pool. They're the guys that are labeling these tokens as scams. And so we can be very grateful to them to putting this effort into this platform to make sure that the Cardano Explorer is showing up these tokens as they appear as scammers. So, Sunday Swap, another DEX, Jed, which is a stable coin. All of these are bogus tokens, NFTs, fungible tokens that are being sent into people's wallets. And they are, the intention is to draw you to the URLs that are being displayed on these images and within the metadata for these tokens. So if you receive a token into your wallet like these, whatever you do, don't go and look into it. Don't browse the websites that hold these, that are on these tokens. Steer clear, because what they'll try and do is get you to connect your wallet and carry out some transaction that, instead of letting you buy something, will actually just drain your wallet. It will create a transaction that will move all the tokens out of your wallet, or do something like that. And if you sign it, then you'll lose your holdings. So the risk is low to everyone, apart from the uninitiated. So now you know that these tokens are trying to get you to sign transactions through these scam websites. Then you know to look out for them and to think twice before you sign anything. But the crucial bit of the community is to make people aware, make others aware, make newcomers aware that this is going on. So I, in recent months, have received numerous of these tokens, and in fact on our Discord server, which I might be able to get up on here. Actually, I've got a screen share going, so I should be able to just drag this up. So if we look on here, did it in the how to. So yeah, I've got on our Fluid 7 Discord, which you're very welcome to join, anyone that's listening. I've got a how-to channel, and in there I'm capturing all the scam tokens that I see. So these MinSwap, WMT event, option flow, Dex Hunter, these are all stealing branding, naming from projects that are legitimate on Cardano, but Genius Shield, Indigo, Husky token, which is the best memed coin on Cardano. If there's such thing, it's worth 0. muesli swap, milk. These are all, things that you're aware of if you're in space, and they can fool you if you haven't thought about it carefully. So don't visit any of these domains that are on these tokens. Just steer clear of them. And if you see some turning up in your wallet, it's actually a good thing for people who are initiated, because when anytime any token is sent to another wallet, there has to be a ADA transaction that goes along with them. So these NFTs are arriving in my wallet, and along with 1.5 to ADA, and that ADA is legitimate. It's now mine. I can spend it. So if you see these tokens arrive, don't be too upset, because it actually means you're getting free ADA on the back of it. What he's hoping for is that you'll then follow the links in the websites and get scammed, and you can have the rest of your tokens in return for your him spreading out that little bit of ADA. But the more people are aware of this, the less people are falling for his scam, then the more broke, or the more quickly he'll go broke, because he's sending away all his ADA along with these NFTs. So one way to, once you received one of these tokens, is to then look at extracting the ADA out and getting rid of the NFTs from your wallet, because I don't really want them sitting in my wallet. So I thought we'd experiment today with actual exercise in getting the wallet set up and moved. Getting those tokens moved out of there. So if I just get my wallet set up. Thought as much. Give me 1 second. I'll just get a wallet going again. This is Eternal Wallet, which I still rate as the best wallet on Cardano. And in here, you can see in my token list that I have received some of these AMI tokens. That's spot one. There we go. So WMT rewards token and a min swap mystery box. So the technicalities of this rescue are quite cool. In Cardano, you have different generations of wallets, different mechanisms for interacting with the Cardano blockchain, and we have different eras within the blockchain as well. So we have this Cardano roadmap, and if you look back to the first iteration, first era of Cardano blockchain was the Byron era, and this was when we were really looking at no utilities. There was no smart contracts on Cardano, and we were just getting swapping working, so people could start to create trades between ADA and other tokens. And the decentralized exchanges didn't exist, but we did have centralized exchanges. And so the architecture that the central exchanges are using to interact with Cardano is actually some of the oldest architecture in the space. And so actually the centralized exchanges way they interact with Cardano is some of the most technically backward, because it was the oldest. So when you are actually interacting with the centralized exchanges and the way that they interact with the Cardano blockchain, you are making use of old technology that doesn't have all the features that new modern Cardano has. So, for example, when you are sending tokens to a modern wallet, you can send NFTs and they'll turn up in the wallet and work just fine. So like I'll filter my wallet for just showing the NFTs. And these are some of the oldest NFTs I bought, Stars of Creation, which are very beautiful. And it's a shame they're not worth anything, but I really like them still. The first sort of generative NFTs that were creating whole spacescapes, planets and starscapes. It's very cool. And meteorites as well. And if I was to take this NFT and try sending it to Paul in his modern Eternal wallet, then the NFT will turn up and it'll work fine. He'll be able to see the NFT. And in fact, we've done that before, haven't we, Paul? I've sent you a freeloaders NFT, and that showed up, and you got a nice, pretty NFT sitting in your wallet as a result. However, if I was to carry out the same transaction, but send it to my wallet in one of my centralized exchanges. So, for example, if I sent this to my Cardano wallet or Cardano interface on Kraken, Kraken is using an older Byron era architecture instead of Goguen or later. And so it has a whole lack of features set that these era infrastructure has to what this era has. And so as a result of sending an NFT into a centralized exchange, all that happens is that you lose your NFT. The ADA will arrive, but the NFT, it's just misinterpreted because it doesn't know how to handle, process, store, transact with NFTs, because NFTs are a later addition to the blockchain standard. And so what you can do, as you can see, if I actually go to my Eternal wallet and actually try and find a, what was it called? It was a WMT. So let's filter for, see if I can find the actual transaction when the token came in. Let's see if I can find this asset in my transaction filter list. If I look for asset name, is that going to come up? No. Better practice this first, shouldn't I? But I think it's always good to, in a workshop, to actually show the real life experience. No, I won't find it. Okay, so we'll have to just browse back through and try and find the transaction. Okay, here's one. 3 came in here: Hosky reward token, a MinSwap airdrop ticket, and Indigo DAO token rewards. Now, all of these look like legitimate sort of transaction gifts, but I didn't pay for any of them. I wasn't expecting them, so I'm immediately suspicious. And so this came in on 1st of October. Or was that the 10th of January? 10th of January. And you can see there's a whole load of destination addresses for this transaction. So in fact, none of these EXT addresses are my wallet. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can just see that. I'm looking for a blue label, which will show my wallet address, whereas all of these are external ones. So that's my wallet. And so the token was received into my wallet along with thousands of other people, or hundreds of other people, receiving the tokens at the same time. And along with each of these, you can see the scammers had to be sending 1.14 ADA as well. So he's spending a fortune in ADA to send these tokens out, and he's been doing it for months. So he's obviously scamming people. He's actually getting hold of people's funds successfully. It's worth the return to him. But for the more awareness we have, the more we can defeat this attack. So I want to keep hold of that 1.14 ADA that came into my wallet here. But I want to get rid of the Hosky reward ticket. And so what I'm going to do is send some ADA to my Kraken exchange along with those NFTs. And Kraken won't know how to handle NFTs, but it will know how to handle the ADA. So then it will effectively have separated the NFTs from the ADA. And I can then either, I'll have ADA on the exchange that I can send back to Cardano if I want, to my Cardano wallet, or I can trade with it, sell it for cash, whatever I want to do, without worrying about those NFTs evermore. And it'll have removed those NFTs from my token list. So anything that says ticket or reward or token, so that's legitimate, that's fake, that's fake. And so, it's fairly easy to spot them, but, if you haven't asked for it, so this one is a proof of participation in the 2023 Cardano Summit NFT. This one's a scammer, this one's a scammer. And they all follow a similar pattern, so you can probably figure them out. They all tend to have a domain sitting on the image itself. They're an NFT, they're one of one. Actually, no, this is saying 1 of a million, so it's actual fungible token. So yeah, that makes more sense. It's not an NFT, it's a fungible NFT, a fungible token. But I don't want them in my wallet because I know they're scammers, and I don't want me or future generations who inherit my wallets to get confused by it at any point and visit the scammer website. So I'm going to form a transaction. I'm going to send. I'll actually need to get my Kraken address up as well. Let me get that. Show me the receive address from Kraken. Log in here. Actually, one thing I don't think I have yet. No, I haven't done anything. So in this Eternal Wallet, there's an address book feature, which is quite cool. I haven't used that yet. And in this address book, you can store external addresses. So in here, you can put your exchange address, if you've got Kraken or Crypto.com or Coinbase, and save them here. So then if you do want to send any of your ADA out from your wallet, you can send them without having to revalidate them each time, which is quite cool. And also, if you're sending it to friends, family, you can store those in your address book as well and make quick work of getting them out to the right place. So I need to find the receive address in Kraken.
So in Kraken, Jonathan, do you go to ADA, receive, and copy the address?
That's what I'm just trying to figure out. So here is Kraken. We want to look at depositing. So I'll be depositing ADA into Kraken. And so this is now giving me the receive address for Kraken. And that QR code is the same thing.
Yeah.
So I can copy that address now and go into Eternal. This one. And in fact, I'll add that as a entry here. If anybody wants to send anything to that, I'm perfectly happy for you to do that. That's fine. And now I'm going to select the scam tokens I want to get rid of. So they were called ticket, weren't they? So we can add that Hosky reward ticket and add that MinSwap airdrop ticket. Some of them were called reward ticket, originally rewards token, and Indigo DAO token reward. What else did we have? Let's have a look at Discord. And not all of them were in this wallet, but let's have a quick check. No. Actually, so I'm just looking down my list of the tokens on the how-to channel on so anybody that gets one of these tokens, if you drop a screenshot of it into this channel, then we can have a history and we can all refer back to it if we want to get rid of these tokens at any point. So I've got music, oh, that's another reward. Airdrop, that's another word you can search for. An event. Mystery box. Already. History. Add that one as well. What else we got? Event. That was legitimate. That was from the London event. I think that's probably all the scammer tokens from my wallet. Let's clearly let's have a quick manual last browse through, see if we can spot any more. Legit. Okay, I think that's all of them. I'm going to say done, and it will have added those 5 tokens into here, and it's also sending some ADA. Now, that's not the amount of ADA that I received into the wallet with these tokens. That is just paying a transaction fee. You have to send some ADA when you're making sending it out of your wallet. Some will go towards a transaction fee, which will be 0.17 or 0.18 in this case. This is the fee for the network. But also some additional ADA that just needs to travel with these tokens, with these native tokens, along with the any ADA. So I'm going to send 1.79 ADA to Kraken, along with those NFTs. And so really, in my mind, all I'm risking is 1.79 ADA if this goes wrong. But in fact, I know that 1.79 ADA will turn up in Kraken and be handled correctly. It's my confidence. So let's send that. And I will sign this transaction. And so then in this outbound transaction, we'll see it's got those tokens attached: Min, WMT, Hosky, MinSwap, Indigo. And they are going to an external address. So it's not coming back into my wallet, it's just going to Kraken. And this was all bundled up into a UTXO that is receiving back some change as well. So that's now processed, it's on chain, has been sent through. And so then it's just a case of keeping an eye on Kraken, which I think is in I remember how to see the. Here we go. So this is the last transaction in. last transaction in, you can see confirming 1.79 ADA inbound, and that confirming is just waiting for the number of stake pools that are verifying, validating transactions to rise above 30 or something like that, and then that will go to success status. Now, there's no means in Kraken for seeing, holding, processing NFTs at all, because they're running this older architecture. So the tokens I sent along with that transaction are recorded on chain, and so they've moved from my wallet to someone else's, to this Kraken wallet. But the, oh dear, that's the wrong one. I wanted this one. This one shows the tokens have left my wallet. So when I look back in my token list for my wallet, I'll no longer be able to see any of those scammer tokens. Definitely gone. And I spent 1.798 to do that, but we can see in Kraken that it is on its way to my Kraken wallet. So I'll receive in 1.79 ADA here. And then that's my ADA to spend, send back to my Eternal wallet, do whatever I want with, without the NFTs attached, because Kraken doesn't know what to do with them. So that's a legitimate and useful mechanism for centralized exchanges in our DeFi world. And so I can go through now and purge my other wallets of these scammer tokens. Is that
How anyone who's not in our sort of network ever learn that sort of thing? They'd learn by having their wallet emptied.
that is the significant problem downside. You do have to be in and aware, and making sure you are staying educated in the space to really get to stay safe. So there is work to do, and there is a cost to operating with this new economy, as it were. But that education comes with additional benefits in that you are learning whole new techniques for buying assets, storing assets, benefiting from the appreciation of these assets, and you're also you're at the cutting edge, which we'll say call the bleeding edge of a new financial wave that's coming. And so just as we've seen 20% rise in the token yesterday and the day before, that's going to mature out to a long-term 10x over the years of where you're bought in now to where you'll end up being. And so that's a monetary benefit to you. But then also you've got all this knowledge that makes you, everybody will coming to you asking how on earth they handle their self-sovereign wallets in a few years' time, or a few months' time. And you'll be the authority. And you'll have gone through the pain of having to learn all this stuff. And that's a good thing to have on your portfolio, in any conversation at any point in life. Because now that Bitcoin is approved by regulators and being sold on the stock exchanges, the awareness of everybody involved in stocks and shares has now gone up a level, and anybody who has an independent financial advisor or a pension manager and ever talks to them will now be, maybe have Bitcoin being talked in their ear. And so then the awareness rises up in the general populace, and they'll be coming asking questions. And eventually, hopefully, they'll end up saying, I want to be self-sovereign. I want to manage my own funds, manage my own assets. And that's where your skill set will really come into its own. That's how I see the future anyway. And that's why, I think it's worthwhile spending your time doing these things. And these, this is like pulling a wheelie in the space, really. You don't need to do it. It's a skill that sets you above everyone else. And it's, personally very gratifying to know how to handle a fringe case like this and get rid of tokens that you don't want anymore. But you know, as a kid, I thought wheelies were the coolest thing ever. And then as I go, I think doing this stuff's pretty cool. So yeah, hope you're all down with that. Any more questions about how to do that? Has anybody received any of these tokens yet?
I'm going to go and double check my wallets, that's for sure. But I was going to say the thing is to, like you said, just create a Kraken account then.
Yeah, Kraken, Coinbase, Crypto.com, any of these exchanges, they're all running on the same old infrastructure. So the same will work on any of the exchanges, I think, to this point. Coinbase is the only one that might have had bit better, healthier, younger infrastructure in terms of Cardano, because they actually run a whole load of stake pools and stuff like that. And there was something I think I briefly saw on Twitter about it, that maybe they will handle NFTs. I don't think there's any interface for it as of yet, but they may have already upgraded the actual chain version to handle them. So at some point in the future, when your NFTs arrive, they might show up in a Coinbase wallet. But certainly, I think these other ones don't have any means of handling it yet. In fact, that would have been a useful thing to try and find. I think it was Ray from Growpool who actually spoke about it. So let's have a quick scan and see if we can find it. Am I gonna have to log in? Or am I logged in? I'm gonna have to log in. Second. Actually, I think I logged in somewhere else. Stop that there. I think it's worth finding. If you have any other questions for me, get them out now. Let me.
Jonathan, I'm interested in understanding more the potential risks of using the USB security two-factor authentication. What do you call it? YubiKey. Do you use one of those?
I don't actually have a YubiKey, but I do rate them really highly. So I've looked into getting them. And yeah, in fact, I will probably no doubt get one very soon. They're a good addition. They are effectively like a low-tech version of your Google Authy, Google Authenticator or Authy from Twilio, 2FA apps on your phone. So they're a dedicated piece of hardware, which is then better than a phone because it's a physical device which there's only one of in the world, whereas someone else could have your phone, clone your phone and log in with it and effectively reproduce your authenticator. I mean, I don't think it's actually possible to do that even, but whenever there's a proprietary device like a phone where there's more than one of the same sort of device, then it's easier for people to create hacks for a generic operating system like that than it is for a dedicated private company's single device operating system.
Yeah.
So your YubiKey is going to be more robust.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they recommend you should have two, so that you've got a secondary one should your first one gets lost or whatever. And that some systems won't allow you to have two registered, but they have to be registered with the service that you're trying to protect. So you actually have to register two. You can get a replacement if you lose it, but that takes time, which locks you out of all your accounts. And the other thing I don't really understand, I haven't been able to source it, is I'm assuming this is an identity key that you can use on multiple devices. So you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your computer or your iPad or whatever. You don't need one for each item, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. One thing I don't know is when I last looked at YubiKey, I don't know if they had a USB-C version, which would then actually work with the phone and computer. So the ones I
Yeah,
was looking at would just...
they're now out, and in Australia they're $110 each, and you've got to buy two. And they're the upgraded ones. The other ones that don't access your phone are still about 60 Australian.
Okay, right, yeah. So then, yes, those devices will work across your other devices, and that gives you then best utility out of a single device. But yeah, recommended to get two, so you've got a backup in case you drop it down a drain. And because it is like a small device that is losable, which is the downside to them. However, having one of those that you just have in your USB has to be in your USB port before you can sign a transaction or put in a password or log into Google, is a really good additional physical device layer on top of your normal security. So it is worth doing.
Yeah, and I think if you change technology too, you're still protected. Like if your phone dies and you get a new one or whatever, it doesn't matter because you've got your security. And that's the other side. Then you've got to switch from your existing two-factor authentication systems that you've registered to this thing. So, it's like, it's a process to actually move across to it, but it probably gives you more security ultimately.
Yeah. Again, there's always a payoff in terms of volume of work required to improve your security and so on and so forth. But that's just something you have to absorb, really. And it doesn't have to happen all at once. You can just start some on YubiKey, some on staying with your old Authy apps. But either way, it's an additional improvement to your security layers, and the more of those we have, the less chance we are of getting scammed. And the one thing that I do like to have is barriers up to myself, because I'm the biggest threat to myself. Once you're managing your own wallet, you're self-sovereign, you are your biggest threat. It's unlikely that someone will be able to get in and do anything in Cardano land in particular. But for that scam to work that we've been talking about today, it just takes me to have a lapse in process, in judgment, in thought processes for me to get fooled and scammed. So I am my biggest risk, so I need to work on my education the most. And even if I have a YubiKey, even if I have a hardware wallet, if I'm not paying attention and end up signing a transaction that I haven't looked to see what's in there, in that list, then I could still, fall foul of it. There was
one thing I think is worth also considering. The value of it is more if you're traveling or if you're overseas, you actually have, I would think that it would be easier to take that with you than have to always have the right internet connection, or if you can't get the confirmation back through your phone to authenticate, at least you've got this device that authenticates for you, and you should be able to proceed without too much problem.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
definitely. The fact it's so portable, it can be just on your keychain, is a bonus. Then also a downside, because it can go down the drain along with your keys, or it's you could be held at knife point out in a club because you've got your YubiKey with you. But the same can be said of your phone, and everyone takes their phone everywhere. So there are upsides and downsides. But ultimately, these are really good devices to have, because it makes it very difficult for someone to spoof, someone to gain access to login unless it's you doing it and you're making the mistake. So yeah, this is giving you an additional tool in your set for staying, in your tool set for staying safe. So if nobody's seen these YubiKeys before, these are worth a look. I mean, they effectively become, I think when you're logging in with Google or Microsoft, you get offered to log in with a security key, and that's what these are. So enterprises brought them to the market first. If you're an employee in a big in a crypto firm or a tech firm, you'd be issued a YubiKey as your login, because you can maybe be able to log into multiple machines within your enterprise, and so you don't want someone to be able to log in someone else's machine. So they issue these YubiKeys. And when you sat down at any computer, yours or someone else's, you could plug in your YubiKey and it would then recognize you and load up your profile and all the rest of it, and let you get access to enterprise, the level of access that you had within your enterprise. Your YubiKey could determine, but that's now stretched on to, because two-factor authentication has become a much wider thing. It's now available to general public just to use with any and all apps and websites, and also dApps as well. So it is a good, powerful bit of kit, and yeah, well worth a mention. Thanks, Carol. So have you got one yet, or you're looking to get one, do you think?
I'm looking to get one. Yeah, I don't have two. I mean, I'm looking to get two. But
And you want these USB-C ones as well, I guess.
yes, that's right. Yeah, and that means you definitely make sure you either have a phone that will have that connection, because I think iPhones are different, but you'd be able to get a compatible connection.
Yeah. It's like this one here. I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit small. That's got a USB-C at one end and a Lightning on the other.
Yeah.
So that will be Apple at one side and Android on the other.
They've got it all covered.
Yeah, no matter your device, it looks like they've got you covered now, which is great. And there's the older USB format as well. So old laptops, new, will work. Very cool. Yeah, and I went out to buy a USB key the other day, just because I needed one for installing an operating system. Just so small now, it's actually a problem. So it has got a little hole in it for attaching to a key ring or something, but it's minute. It's hard to get any purchase to actually pull it back out of the machine. And this is the old USB-A format. So yeah, some of these devices are going to be absolutely minute, and the risk of just the cat swallowing them becomes a real thing then. So your security levels have to always, you have to think about every scenario when you're looking to buying into a new tech level. So I actually find an old school USB key a bit more reassuring with a nice dangly key fob. Got a good purchase on it. It's even got a switch to move the vulnerable electronics in and out. So I like that in my USB keys. I've had that one for 5 years, 10 years, haven't lost it. I can imagine myself losing this one in a month. Either way, it's good that tech is always improving. I just wish not all of it went quite so small, but maybe that's just my age. I didn't manage to find that reference to the Husky token one, but yeah, I'll keep looking and drop it in the chat afterwards. Sorry, Carol, what were you saying?
I was just going to say I bought myself a couple of solid state drive external drives to back up my computer and then another copy of my files, and they're tiny in comparison to what you used to get. So it's just staggering, really, the changes.
Yeah, and I think that's a 64 gig drive, and it was it 11 quid or something. So the amount of storage you can get for peanuts now is incredible. And that's only quarter of the size of my actual hard drive in my my laptop, just in the USB key for £11. Remarkable. Good. Okay. Well, that is actually what I want to talk about today. So I'm open for any questions. I'm normally on for another 15 minutes. So anything anybody wants to cover in particular?
AXO, if we can. Unfortunately, I missed out on it, but
Okay.
that seems to be yeah, quite interesting.
It was very interesting. It wasn't the smoothest of token launches. It's still ongoing, but it was very confusing, very difficult to engage with, and the prices rocketed way beyond what I consider a good entry point from the off. So, I want this one. I don't know.
Yeah, it was really confusing.
Axo.trade, isn't it, the website? Yeah. So what they've done is create this new platform, a new method of trying to form the early price of a token as it launches, because that's always the most volatile period. And typically you'll see a huge pump, the price rises to the sky and then drops right off. And so there's a whole load of people in there. There's like one or two people who do extremely well because they buy it when it's low, they manage to sell it at that massive peak, but there's all people trying to sell off at the same time. And so some people will get lucky and sell off at that massive bonus price, but most people will just lose out in initial token sales. So AXO, because they are a really innovative team, like the most innovative team, I think, on Cardano, maybe barring Optim. Anyway, that really clever, really good builders. And they came up with this new idea. Okay, let's launch our exchange with a representation of the token, not the actual token itself, and let's allow people to trade or to buy and sell ADA and that AXO token within the first 5 days to form the price that it will actually be launched at. And so this was quite bold. So people were actually handing over real ADA to buy this token, this or representation of a token. And then at the end of the LSE event, then the actual AXO will be distributed. So people were allowed in to trade. I still can't see the actual. Okay, app.axo.trade. And so yeah, you haven't lost out yet, Paul. You can still participate, but you can see what happened right at the beginning. It did that typical price rocketed up. Someone placed an order for 50,000 ADA per AXO. So that would give AXO a market cap of 1.5 trillion or something at launch, which is almost the size of the full crypto market in itself. And so that kind of scuppered the works. It broke the chart. It meant that everybody was just watching this market depth chart, so you can see trades in and trades out. But instead of seeing decent typical chart, green and red on either side, you just ended up with a huge vertical line and a huge horizontal line on the axis themselves. So you couldn't really see what trades were actually in there and what weren't. And so you were just relying on, well, you didn't have anything to rely on really. You were just guessing at what the price was, and so Dinesh and I were looking at it about the same time, and so we both placed some orders for the token, and I've still actually got my orders open, not on this browser. And I said, okay, I'll buy AXO at 1 ADA, 0.75 ADA, 0.5 and 0.25, and I placed 4 orders on there. But actually, the price is now hovering around the 10 ADA, above the 10 ADA mark per AXO. So I don't think we're going to see the price come back down to the 1 ADA mark at all. It's just going to stay up here. So 12.4 at the moment. It did drop as low as, actually stayed above 10, so it didn't even reach 10.9. So I think the price will probably end up somewhere around here, which is it's a really good launch price for a token. It means everyone's very bullish on the token, but it's a bit too pricey for my liking. For a brand new token to launch, and it's got 42 million that actually will be out there. Quick calculator. That's the most tokens will ever be produced and released. So when the token is generated, that's what it will be. So, oops, no. I clicked the wrong thing. That will be for current price. That gives it a market cap of 520 million, which is, a really expensive or really valuable token, depending on your perspective, a launch, and whether the platform justifies it. Technology wise, it's the pinnacle now of DEXs. It's really, really slick, and it's got all these new features that everyone's fawning over, being able to adopt other people's strategies, apply them to your portfolio, to actually create strategies from scratch yourself using a visual editor. Really innovative. It will be the place that all the traders come. Another huge innovation is that okay, I've placed those orders, and Dinesh has placed his orders, which would mean that your ADA leaves your wallet, goes into a smart contract, and so of course you're not getting any staking rewards for the ADA while it's in that order, even if the order gets placed or not, gets actually processed or not. The ADA is no longer sitting in your wallet, so you're not benefiting from staking rewards. However, when you do the same on AXO, when you place an order, even if it's a limit order and you're waiting for the price to get down to 5 AXO, for example, it can sit on there for months and never reach that price. All that time, you can still be earning staking rewards on your ADA, because the token leaves, the ADA leaves your wallet, goes into a smart contract, but that smart contract actually gets staked back to the wallet, gets staked back to the pool that the originating wallet is staked to. So I've got my wallet staked with the XO trading. I can't remember which one it was anyway. Say my staked ADA wallet. I've got that staked to Fluid Pool. I place an order. The ADA leaves my wallet, goes into a smart contract, and that smart contract actually creates a stake key that references it back to the Fluid Pool again. So the ADA in the order continues to accrue rewards, and I will still see those rewards flow into my wallet, which is, none of the other exchanges offer that at all. So actually it gives you assurance that even if you are placing trades that you don't think will be fulfilled for a long time, you're just, speculating the price will dip down to that point and then rise up again, which is how a lot of traders behave. Then all the time that it's in that order, you're still earning staking rewards, which is a really, really big benefit for traders. And so it's going to bring in a whole lot of traders into this platform, just that feature in and of itself, let alone the abilities it's got in terms of creating algorithms and strategies. But whether all that utility will translate into a market cap for the token of 500 million ADA is, in my mind, it's a little bit too rich. So I'm going to hold off, let it settle for a couple of months, see what the price actually gets to once the token generation event's happened. People who've got the AXO in their wallet can actually start selling off. Let's see if that creates a dip and makes it a bit more, reasonable a token, because it would then suddenly be the largest token on Cardano. I think that would make it so just off. So AGIX, the Singularity Net artificial intelligence token, has a market cap of 650 million ADA. So at 12.4 ADA, AXO has a market cap of 500 million, which is, you know, suddenly launched from launch, putting it right up there as a top tier token in Cardano, which, yeah, he may well warrant it, but I don't, you know, that's not a price point to enter, in my opinion. I'm going to wait and see, either not get in at all ever, or wait for price action to really mature, see if there's a dip, and then get in there and then see where we go. So yeah, if you want to participate in the launch event, it's still going on. I think a few days left. I don't know when it ends, but then the generation event will happen. The AXO will get sent to all these wallets, and then we'll see really what the price settles down to. I think. I'm going to say anyway here. No, countdown time is at 0, so I'm not sure when it ends. Anybody else know?
It was a 5-day sale.
I think it was a 5-day thing.
Yeah. 17th, I think it was.
Okay.
Well,
I'll tell us. Actually, I've got this one. Let's see. And launch begins. It's scrolling so long. Yeah, of course. Other price impacting things on the AXO token. It's got 275,000 ADA, was talked about being launched in with this LSE event, but actually they've done 500,000. But of course there are 42 million tokens available overall. So there is going to be a slow release to the exchanges, yield farming, so on and so forth. There's going to be some being given to the team that will be unvested over time, so they could start selling stuff. And all these things will affect the price of AXO. So there may be better prices to get it later. Still can't see the actual end of the LSE event. Oh, launch will be January 16th. So that's when it actually kicks off. And the AXO will be produced and distributed. Although I think it's been generated already, just not distributed. So then it'll be distributed on the 16th. And then we'll be able to see if that's a better time to get your hands on it. But yeah, interesting stuff. And certainly I'm very, very excited to start using the app in anger and seeing what they come up with, because no doubt they've got more stuff in the works already. That answer your questions, Paul? Anything else on that?
No, that's great. Thanks, Jonathan.
Cool. Good. Okay. Well, on the other bits of news, our Project Catalyst is underway. If you haven't re-registered to vote on Project Catalyst since Fund 9, then you've got another few days to register, I think. And then registration will close. A snapshot will be taken, and that will be your voting power for fund that's coming up, fund vote that's coming up. All the info to look out for it is on projectcatalyst.org now. .org or .io? .io, sorry. .org is a community built one by George, my friend. .io is one built by the Catalyst team. You can go to Fund 11 to see all the latest info and roadmap and stuff like that. The proposals are all locked down. They're ready for voting. And voting will open. Doesn't tell me the date. That's not very useful. Voting starts on the 25th of January. So we've got a couple of weeks to go. But then there's an easy way to earn some free ADA just by placing a vote on Project Catalyst, which I'm sure we'll go over again in a workshop closer to the day. But yeah, if you want to register, then go through and get that done now if you haven't for the last couple of funds. Between funds 9 and 10, the mechanism changed. So even if you had a pre-registration, you'd still be able to vote, but you won't actually earn rewards. But because the reward mechanism changed for fund 10, you do need to register if you haven't since fund 9. And that's when you go through your mobile phone voting app, scan the QR code, or create a QR code and save that. And that becomes your voting key. But you can refer back to my old Cardano Q&A videos if you want to see a bit more detail on that now, or we'll do a go back to an old video, dig out that's best place on my YouTube channel. Very good. I think that's probably enough for today, unless anyone's got any last minute questions. We'll wrap up there.
Quick question, Jonathan, just so that I'm clear. I'm going to get I'm going to ask my son Duran to register for this voting. So is it the case of downloading the Catalyst voting app and then registering on that?
Yeah. So you can send him.
We used scan code last time, didn't we? To
yeah. So the best way is to go to this page, get involved / become a voter.
Yeah.
I'll drop this into the Discord as well.
Okay.
And then you can shortcut to the downloading the voting app itself, and then just follow through the steps in the app.
Yeah, that's it.
And he's got an Eternal wallet all set up, so he'll be able to just interact with that and be all sorted. Good. Okay. Thanks for joining. Logan, didn't speak to you. Sorry. Thanks for coming on the call. If you got any questions or want to say hi, feel free. We'll be back on again next week as well. And if you haven't got a link to the Discord as yet, I'll drop that into the chat here, so you've got it to hand. If you're not on there already, I apologize if you are and I haven't seen you. DHS7. That's a permanent Discord invite that you can use to get onto the Discord server. And that's where any questions you have during the week, you can pop them on there. And I also drop the reminders and the invites to the weekly calls. Cardano Q&A will be back on now every Friday morning from 9:30 UTC. And we'll be covering a whole load of evolving stuff in the Cardano ecosystem and look for other opportunities to get involved with. But yeah, thanks for coming along. Good to see you all. Happy New Year. And we'll catch up next week.
Thanks,
Thanks very much. Thanks,
Jonathan. All the best.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.